ene membu abam ene me ma wo re ho me mpesa wo de are ho ebekọ kete so akoda na wasoso da ye bone nemom pese me ma hu pempenso aga na esikasem akoduro na de ntia hu hia se ene hu de ntia aga na esikasem pempenso akoduro ni se ye mamu a ye wo amanyosem a ye no sebi enam se de amanyosem ache Ghana mu mienu MPP ginafa NDC ginafa ntino mpempi se obi ka asem kra na ye no kra ye hwe political party kra ofri mu ansana ya je atum se de o ka ne betimi aye no kre anasanya no kre etitru eba ne sikasem se amanyuko bi awa ban mu a obeka mo ate ase se niama ye enya kra na obecho se wo anim difo mo to niama so bi ni aban mu no oka ya ye hunu so ompa aban ni yi nti na ya woka nti abe something normal to us nemom se koba se ewiase kugba ti se World Bank IMF eye rating agency omososo edo assessment so mo sikasem ni na matoto ye kan cross wo mamu no betudwa e ma Ghana ni ti mamuni ni hu pempenso a oma ne ekwakodru. Now for the past few months obehwa Fitch rating Moody's omunyina edo mo ratings aba ratings no mo de aba ni nyina no enye positive emfa mo man Ghana ewo mu se Ghana sana hene kenofrata akwanya bi obekasa bia no ehye Ghana phone crying say ejina na so even a week before aban beko IMF yira finance minister eka kire se sikasem eye eni na nu ani nansa ne hu se yeko IMF just last week Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday there was engagement between Ghana government delegation and also the IMF delegation towards the IMF bailout programs ahodwa ekoso. Finance minister once again ebeka kire say it's never true say your debt no baby edu no aginsem but enne World Bank edom assessment about Ghana's economy and the babetuja na no ene ne mepese me no mienu ye che na yemfa nkwa adwendwe mu ne ye bom pae a asere awrade a yen sere awrade se awrade na adwumi ba beda ehwe me so na bom mabusia ho ba ye free diaboni mu no selfo no feed sumu nemum ya kan se ode Ghana be kan se awrade ba bia Ghana aduru ni de ehia wakwa nkyere ne onim de na etimi aboa medidi samonto na me ka se dwumade wo hwe live original TV so no oko social media handles na Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, afi TikTok na original TV GH betima hwe hama ayeye sanso na YouTube channel no original TV Ghana hoso betimi ahwe amatumi ayeye komotwetwe ne koso ne WhatsApp number di to screen so no wo dia wo betima send messages na de aba enra aja wusu fisie mante wonka yewra Moses kaswa mante wonka sanso so ena Kofi Kumase mete wonka ache ena afemi ankasa me vice president Ike Kumase enra manhye dante wonka pi sanso yenia Silvanus enra mante wonka pacho testers mo send test messages ne ba no ye keep data no enti pacho mamodi anye se miwe few nemom brano odi ni be kan etimi etimi abo e the amount send messages no e fabre o send message na ba bia wo free ene odi na de aka ho na de aba na etimi kenkan ade ama yenko e de asem na aye World Bank e kan de fa Ghana economy ho yenko ne yentwetwe nkomo na yentie de mo e kan we enye CPP ana NDC ana mena America we IMF for ensema we World Bank asema omo eka na uhwe mpanyimfo ya omo mienu mpanyimfo omo mfoni eda ha ya yera Kenneth Kuntunkununku Ofuriata eye finance minister ana wo hwa ha se so ade ohu no eye omampani abede chire Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia na de nti omo mienu mfoni egua ne se eba na Ghana sikasem no ntoto yeso a se eyeyi a ye de abasobode ne ma wo mo sanko yesu ne epenkrofo aka o manim a o na o se ka o manim. Head of Economic Management Team Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia the Vice President se do hu se nfoni edaha amampani anasa gina tukom na hwe sikasem no ntoto yesem so no amampani abedi akire ena wo ba ha se de nyina ankasa ni Ghana sana hene Kenneth Ofuriata and so and yes and I inform you they are responsible for whatever the state of economy is today, whether good or bad, for better for worse. They are the heads and as they are managing the affairs of the economy. Now World Bank has no more I can say World Bank classifies Ghana as high debt distressed country. Debt to GDP to hit 104%. IMF say Ghana, the no, a high debt distress. na che se eka amene yen eka ho adwendwen eda yeso na se ye GDP ye gross domestic product eno ebe hiti 104%. Se eka GDP a GDP ni nyina ne se de bia meka se me gina hai me bo watch me shatadi me she boxer shorts me she singlets ena me she shoe eno ne mi wiase nyina emfa se mi wiase nyina niam me woni enti mi niam me wei se ba se na me de ka na se mi ntimi ntua me hu niam ya ne be na betua ka na GDP nde kire ni se yi me ntade yi me mpaboa yi me watch yi me boxer short yi me bibia yi me moto mu nwi nyina kraka ho na ye tonwa se timi tua me ka no ana se ntimi tua me ka de timi kire no no e se de tie ne se Ghana se me ka me de no se me na me ye Ghana me ka me de no se yi me hu niam nyina bom sakola mpo ne tonwa ntimi ntua me ka no me sa de ka ohamo bu pen 94% wachire. It means eka ameniye. That's what it means. Simple. Now, Tiasima World Bank eka. The World Bank has classified Ghana as a high debt distress country as it projects the nation's debt to gross domestic product (GDP) of 104.6% by the end of 2022. And the World Bank projection of the abache say, after 2022 and quite a year no, your debt to GDP no, ebeko akodu 104.6%. Nache say okano our approximating 105% of our debt to GDP. According to 8 October 2022 Africa Pulse report, debt is expected to jump significantly from 76.6% a year earlier amid a widening government deficit, massive weakening of the cedi, and rising debt service costs. Almost say, report omode abba eye bosumi mu eye we World Bank for reporter omode abba na sema mo e kan say afiwe nkwa na wiye no na ba bia debt no akwa koduru eno no what to afi 2021 ho a they say afi say na your debt to GDP no eye 76.6%, but afiwe nkwa na wiye no I World Bank for projection na so mo reporter me na ba say the debt to GDP no ebeko all the way to 104.6%. Na otu aswa almost say enya no nko a say yeka aso papa yesiri na hoden aba form ena fe eka ye de nsika yetua so e ade a akosro. Or say it is also forecasting debt to GDP of 99.7% and 101.8% of GDP in 2023 and 2024 respectively. The size of the economy, I mean, Chiwimansa, a World Bank for projection, Modia Ban say, a year afe 2023, a year nimu, a fee di nimu, and about to afe 2024 no. Or here him say, Yami Admo afe 2023. The economy, your debt to GDP no, about 99.7%. Now for 2024 no, I 101.8%. Say the bit to me, whatever it is. We are still within the 100, and I say we are still with the 100 ratio. I say 100% debt to GDP ratio. It will say 20 Japan The size of the Ghana's economy is estimated at about $72 billion, whilst it is expected to spend about 70% of revenue this year to service its debt. You say Ghana, a size of economy, not just say. Eniama Ghana yewo yebetimi akase ne ne de boy ho bra ye bibia no ye de kase ye de bo otoso a America sika no opepepe eye edioson mienu $72 billion. Nanso so World Bank report omode aba ne say ye ka ye de no eto a ye gigi no mamu nyina de bo ma ho bra no ye de ohamabu pen edioson 70% ebetua ye ka ye de ohamabu pen 70% ebetua ye ka. The report is coming at a time the bank and the International Monetary Fund are conducting a debt sustainability analysis on the country. A country which is highly debt distressed is unable to fulfill its financial obligations, and therefore debt restructuring is required. ye ka say Ghana buy ne IMF ogun komo twetwe so he so bitimi aboa ye na ye debt sustainability ye pese ye de ye ka no ye pege no du ba bia sebi emu nkam emfam pa so but de eba nyina kire se eka no amene yen enti se ade ehia eye debt restructuring ekwan ba ne betumi afa so na ye ka ye de no ye besimi asasane ani na se ye be shabra bo asefoforo debt restructuring. Debt is expected to jump in Ghana to 104.6% of GDP from 76.6% a year earlier amid a widened government deficit, massive weakening of the cedi, and rising debt services costs. The country's debt is expected to remain elevated at 99.7% and 101.8% of GDP in 2023 and 2024 respectively. Tightening of financial condition globally, along with the fall of the domestic currency, weakened and sovereign spread by 233 base points since December 2021. The assembly in Nato Fabono. Obaha was as a result, the country lost access to international markets. The report mentioned. I see, and I'm saying I can't cost Rena Carmini intino. You say Ghana intimi kodwa mahudo so nkonko bobesia. Said the man kasa money tuano. Last year, Ghana sana henike no furata eko raise bond capre ye nya ene ebe fie. You say e wiase mahudo so bia no obema ebosia because esikasem enye eye bond market yentumi nkoho. Euro bond market or whatever the bond is, we can't go there because esikasem enye. Na mobe kanya sisi aka say Ghana sana hene kan ofurata na no de tudwa se Ghana ebetimi akọ ewiase kura akọpe bosia adwama hodo so akọba bosia na nya bia ebeteki like no less than 3 years gise bia mfie miensa achi enti ba bia sika sem na tete apansam akoduru no so obi kura baji atum sa afi do betimi abo bosia no awose etwen etoto ye niam aba ese mfie miensa achi ansana obi mpo atimi ehu se ye bobra bia obetimi abo bosia according to Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta. Otwaso, I will say, it added, nevertheless, despite the negotiation with the IMF, investors remain nervous about the country's debt sustainability. The entire core IMF in the United States frame be a friend of policy credibility. Policy credibility. And now say ye pay bibia I can't say ye perceive a balance ye sheeting. Payment. Not say a perceive a humble IMF. The humble IMF wa. The akopa bosia will be hobo so once any IMF for why uncle Fanny dear. Ya can bit me a tia. Not as somehow IMF no be jackajinamu at the amaye. Nanso World Bank report abajina say yane IMF for uncle for IMF for so maybe your map no the amaye on Ghana my name unite me akoye IMF delegation about Ghana some few months ago last week no Mr. Homudin common in echi no. Aya investors omo bi omudom tidom jetra be show man no omo nyina obi atwentwen ne na se they are nervous omo suro omo yam hihye omo se oni Ghana bedidwa esan se baby asikasem no gina no enye. This concern, it said, were expressed by the country's local and foreign currency ratings downgrade from B negative to B to CC plus to C, adding, as a result, despite the news, the cedi fell further with ripple effect on inflation. Nyankwa, ewiase ama hodo nyumakudo a omo can say credit rating. Omo rate omo bia hweso sika semisi cost of the Fitch the same Moody's any their keka ho nyina no omo grade negative B negative to B and also from CC plus to C ni nyina say junk status said omo rate and junk status na say the aginsem ya say ensanom ne yedno a ya ye kwawi sani a ya to nsam ba ha aye de ahwehwe enye ye de kwa rehabilitation kura na ye hu so say yesebi cocaine na ye twi ana wi ne ye twi a ya ye junkie to the extent say chese yado yatomu ntintan a ye ho hwe a enye yi abusua nya so mfa so bia that is junk status of our economy. Rating agencies Fitch and Moody's recently downgraded Ghana's credit rating into deeper junk status. Now no some catch row Moody's and afi Fitch rate of the batch say ya satia koyechi we are not moving forward. or Sergeant Food Dr. Kwame Nkrumah culture say moving or say forward ever, backwards never. But in this case, with the kind of economy we are managing by, it's being managed by these two honorable members, Honorable Kenofriata and the Vice President, the economy is not moving forward. It's rather moving backwards because all the ratings are urban. If you encourage just if you're moving one step ahead, you are rather moving 2, 3, 5, 10 steps backwards. They cited the recent microeconomic deterioration, further tightening of the government liquidity and debt, sustainability difficulties, as well as increasing risk of defaults. Now, it's an increasing risk of this for the entire year. So, say, baby, you see, no boy, boss, I ain't mean tria. And to be answered, no person in Sika Babishim, no Chinabo, Yan is a can send to me, Anka. Sans so many GDA say, or boy, a bossiana, Ghana, so my, you bet me, etria. Ghana classified as highly risk debt distress country in August 2021. The IMF declassified government as highly risk debt distress country. So near World Bank IMF also classified Ghana as a highly risk debt distress. It means so what do you see boy bosia a highly say intimintia. Tio a highly say intimintia. Possibility see a bit me a triano a little, and possibility say intimintiano is higher. So at risk, and to solve a boy abosia will be a wada as a wada. That's what the rating is actually. So now, yet only none of the Omampeni Nanada Kokufado was saying, say, a year international rating agencies, always they are biased towards a year Africa. Yes, Omampeni made this comment about a week or two ago, and Omampeni master statement. But when the president was in opposition, all the economic assessment on the then government was based on this Moody's ratings and Fitch, any PMP in the account. Now the president is saying, they are biased towards us. So now we have Fitch ratings. Just Ghana, we are junk status. Your Moody's, just a junk status. Your PMP, just a junk status. Afi IMF when idea utuma kwa kobo montuma no so momwae no omo rate say a highly risk debt distressed country. World Bank afi atwa mo free last year June ABC July this year oboma Ghana $903 million aside $430 million on the money during COVID-19 time. No, and I know Kenya Santi and say World Bank, we are likely to get like $600 million from World Bank. No, the World Bank is also saying, say, we are highly, and I say we are high debt distress. And it is not one agency, rating agency. All the credible rating agency across the globe are rating Ghana. But the question is, is that the case? The answer is whether you and I will know. He said, Ghana, the only thing a car makes me a casa buying to me tria and ne. A year government obligation makes me a buying to me emiti when it comes to a year payment. It's only salary. I get your pay, I buy you market your pay, and I make us say income. When it comes to allowances, the man Crawford there, almost all the allowance are in arrears. Nursing trainee in arrears, teacher trainee in arrears. NAPCO for cry a no. I bind the NAPCO car to a year 10 months. Now I bind to the 1 month pen domo. And as we speak, a year NAPCO is in arrears. O called judiciary, a judge for at a more for us or Malawa are in arrears. Almost all the statutory payments are in arrears. Get fund in arrears, National Health Insurance Scheme in arrears, a year MP's Common Fund, District Assembly's Common Fund, all these payments are in arrears. BBI are in arrears. The only thing that any comes is here, a year, a Juma for Architria. And that's where we are getting to. We are approaching that level. And for that matter, the government has why she making sure that we won't get there. But looking at how things are going, the IMF for kaka no says I never call the it means benya mo bi kura free IMF for enya ni manimu ya. They are thinking about a year by the end of 2022, and we still have 3 months to go through this hell. I'm trying never between me. 2 years by Jumania, and I mean come wabam. But so who say be next month to a Ketia and Mananyoa, because that's where we are heading towards. They say I do my gun and Sikanyina to try a genie, it is 70% in the Kwakutia, Yakaya dear. That's the state of the woman. Now, Obaha. Last week, in America, sometimes when people want to play politics, or more person say, "Be Jimmy Ghana for Virginia," because me and find your politics, me and find your politics, me and find your politics. When minority speaks, if you say politics or more, when government speaks and goes against the minority, if you say politics or more, but definitely there's a truth somewhere. Last week, Obekaya, me yes sad way, Ebra Yera case to forcing. Or no, and a minority spokesperson on finance, or a finance committee in parliament or a ranking member. A Ghana bani I'm a first chairman. He said this. Now, before I move you made the media that is the last week, made the as someone honorable a year at force in kind, was say, after calling the minority names because I insisted they add ESLA and get fund bond plus cocoa bills and Sino-Hydro to the public debt, government has finally agreed as part of the IMF negotiation to add all of them. For several years, as some minority folk can say, so person who Ghana ye kaya dia. I was so they get fan foka eba because get fan for no more to me so much me kobo bosan your madie. Cocoa board 40 me kobo bosan your madie. Sino-Hydro catch say a butter nemum enye to energy extra energy sector levy. Yetimi ko bojebosia a minority focus say pese hu ye ka ye de nyina o say this aka we nyina be kan abaka jeso da bia ne de omo de omo nten ka ho but ye koya aban ne IMF ye negotiation de afi de sa ne ma we nyina ye de extra kanaba ye de get fan kanaba ye de eye koko de me nwa wakra ne se koko board for so di dwaboka wuji Ghana koko no akoton $, no abemakuya for cedis still omo aboka ya do mo nyina be ka ho a Sino-Hydro no a the vice president as we speak still insulting some Ghanaians thinking say otwa the opponent empoa say the opponent NDC for they don't read, and several times vice president keeps saying this. Their political opponents don't read, they don't read because Sino-Hydro no enye debt eye butter enye debt eye butter, but vice president ye call IMF negotiation ye the Sino-Hydro kana kokaye ka ho ema honorable ye Kesato force nasmo can say our public debt to GDP is now about 100%. Wakawe last week is now about 100%. We say our debt is definitely unsustainable, making debt restructuring unavoidable. We are some honorable Kesato force in ekaye. One no can say debt is about 100%. But so could tie as someone World Bank report on the abana almost a debt no debt to GDP no 104%. So now who is telling the truth? Is it the finance minister? Is it the vice president? Is it the government or the opposition party? Who is telling the truth? And then this is the state we found ourselves in. Yes, this is the state we found ourselves in. But already we have lost the fight against Galamsey. And the economy is also, and then, the question I maybe I want to say, what is the difference between today's economy and a bra or Mampenico for buyer or the Ghana call HEPIC? Highly indebted poor country. And in what is the difference? A woman. We try Mahumaba.